Hello, I'm Zaccura and welcome back to my channel. And hahaha, you thought now that Inktober's over, that there'd be no more illustrations of Zig? Ha! Wrong. Inktober will never be over. So for this week's video, I figured I'd do a little narrated speed paint and give a little character bio about these two characters, Zig and Gu, who are from my Inktober story this year. Hey! That's right, I'm doing this video interruption thing again. Just wanted to let you all know that my IndieGoGo campaign to publish my illustrated book, Zig's Journey, is up and running. Over the last week, we've managed to reach over 60% of the funding goal, which is incredible, but there's still more to go before Zig's Journey can be made a reality, so if you haven't yet, please do check out the page and consider contributing or supporting the project in any way. Any amount of support, even just spreading the word, goes a super long way. The link to the page is in the description box. Thank you so much, and now back to the video. If you followed the story during October, then you're probably pretty familiar with them already, but I figured it'd be nice to give some more insight into these two characters and the composition of this piece. So, the boy on the left is Zig, and he's the main character of the story. He's 13 years old, and he is a mute. He cannot speak. He's been traveling by himself since he was very young because he doesn't know where he comes from or who he is really. He's pretty much been completely alone for his whole life. And wherever he goes, he keeps a journal with him where he records the things he sees and experiences, which is where this all ties into the story. The story is about Zig setting off on a new journey up north, once again in search for answers to his life, hoping to find out where he came from and who he is. And along the way, he's keeping a journal, recording his experiences every day, from finding new animals and plants, to meeting new people, to crazy, mystical stuffs like stuffed toys growing into giant monsters. You get it. The girl sitting next to him on the right is named Gu, G-U. She is 12 years old, and she is a character that Zig meets later in the story. And she is actually deaf. She can't hear. And she also doesn't actually know how to communicate very well with writing, so the only way she fluently communicates with people is through sign language. And being mute, Zig actually does know sign language, but as he soon finds out after meeting Gu, he and Gu learned two different kinds of sign language, and so they can't understand each other. But the both of them are used to being patient, and so they try to learn and figure out how to communicate with each other. And that's what they're doing in this illustration. Zig is trying to learn Gu's sign language by pointing at different objects, and she's showing him the proper gestures for those objects. In this snapshot, if you will, Zig is pointing at a rock, and Gu is showing him how to say rock by knocking on her hand, like you can see. For those of you who are familiar with American Sign Language, may actually recognize that that's what Gu is saying, rock, because I did base Gu's sign language off of ASL, American Sign Language. There's a little bit of inside info for you. And that's actually why Zig doesn't know Gu's sign language, because even though it's never actually mentioned in the story, that's right, this is secret inside stuff. But the sign language Zig knows is actually much closer to BSL, British Sign Language. And if you're familiar with the two, then you know that ASL and BSL are nothing alike whatsoever. I mean, really, from what I've seen, all of the major sign languages from around the world are completely different from each other. Which makes sense, because sign language has been around for, I mean, I don't actually know, but I'm guessing as long as there have been people with hearing or speech impediments. And so just like with spoken languages, each area would naturally end up creating their own sign languages. But I actually do not know how to communicate using any kind of sign language, but it has always been something I find fascinating, and I definitely want to learn one day. Not today, but definitely one day. I want to try and learn how to communicate with ASL. So for this illustration, I just thought of something simple that the characters would see in the woods, a rock, and I researched how to sign rock in ASL, and I found that it's very simple. You just knock on the back of your hand with your other hand. I wanted to put these two characters together for this illustration because of that sort of unique chemistry, because all of the other characters in the story can hear and speak. As a matter of fact, some of them are quite chatty. Yukio. And when I was writing this story and having set myself up for having my main character not be able to communicate easily with everyone else, it really made me have to think hard and understand Zig. And it kind of made me realize almost how when something is so normal, it naturally becomes something that you kind of take for granted. And I don't necessarily view that as a bad thing, it's a natural thing. People get used to the things that they do and they have. But it's just so funny how when you do get so used to something, you often end up actually being really bad at it, bad at using it simply because of how easy it is. Like, you take something like speaking, and, you know, personally, I am not the best speaker. I'm trying to get better. But when I'm put on the spot, it's so hard for me to just say what the heck I'm trying to say. It should be so simple, and yet it's so difficult. I'm much better at writing, which is why I script most of my videos and why I write stories, clearly. When I write, I can so easily express myself and what I mean. But you put me on the spot and I will be using way too many words, and in the end still feel like I didn't say exactly what I wanted to say. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this case. I've certainly met a lot of people with that same exact feeling and that same issue. But I do think that a big part of it comes from the fact that it's just so easy to say more words that you end up forgetting to think about what is it that you're actually trying to say, and really just focusing on that. And because of this, misunderstandings are so frequent with people, because we've just gotten so used to focusing on all that extra stuff that the underlying message can get so easily lost. And when it came to having Zig and Gu communicate, it was even more difficult than just Zig communicating with everyone else, because now they both aren't able to communicate easily, and on top of that, they don't even understand the same sign language. So yeah, it was a very small amount of information that was shared between the two, but it was really all that was necessary. And I mean, how much useless information do we communicate to people every day, right? But when all the ease was taken away from communicating in Zig and Gu's case, it was really just about listening. You know, not in the literal sense with your ears, but listening in the sense of looking and taking the time to really understand what someone is telling you, and focusing on what you really want to say in return. And the same went for how Zig communicated with everyone else. Obviously, he communicated very little, actually, but he's just so used to it, he knows that he doesn't really need to say much most of the time. So yeah, there's Zaccura's quota of deepness for this week. But really, I just find it really interesting because this story was the first time I had ever written characters like this, so it was very interesting to try and put myself in their shoes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm trying to keep it short this week. And this video is actually me sort of killing two birds with one stone here, because this past week has been insane. I have been so busy with my crowdfunding campaign and trying to get it to as many people as possible and so on. And in the meantime, I also need to get certain things prepared for if and when the campaign does reach its goal. But I still wanted to also make sure that I was getting a video up every week. So this illustration is actually one of 4 illustrations I'm doing for the wallpaper and print perks for the campaign. There are a bunch of different perks available that include both the digital versions and the physical printed versions of these 4 illustrations. The originals are also being given away, but that perk has already sold out. Thanks so much to those 4 individuals who snatched them up, if you are watching. And so yeah, if you haven't yet checked out the campaign page, please do, and consider donating or supporting the project in some way. At the time this video goes up, we're already over 60%, but we need 100% in order for the book to happen. So yeah, it would be helping me out big time if you could pitch in any way, big or small. The link to the page is in the description box. And thank you so much to everyone who's already pitched in and supported this project. This past week has been crazy, like I said. It's been a very long week, a lot of work, but well worth it. I am just so grateful to everyone for believing in this project and believing in me and supporting and wanting to see this book happen. It means so much. And I'm hoping we can get to that 100% and I can bring the book to you guys. A big part of it has been just trying to get as many people to see the project as possible. You know, as someone who doesn't have a huge following online, it's definitely been very challenging, but I am doing my best, and I would ask that if each of you watching this video, that's right, you, right here, right now, could share the project page, even if it's just to one person, like in an email, online, or even in person, it would be helping me out enormously. And hopefully together we can get enough reach and enough eyes on the project to get enough people interested in supporting it. And once again, just really thank you so much for all of your support so far. This is the very first time I've ever tried something like this. It's the first time I'm trying to get a book made, the first time I'm running a crowdfunding campaign, and it's really intimidating, and I'm just this random person who doesn't know anything, and there's so much that I'm learning right now, and it just means so much that there are people who believe in me and are helping me and supporting me and cheering me on. So just thank you so much, and I'm going to keep working on it, and I don't want to let you guys down. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on upcoming videos. I make new videos every week, usually uploading on Sundays. If you want to follow me on social media, all the links to that are in the description box where you can follow me for daily updates. And until next time, stay awesome, stay inspired, always. See ya!